Hello, everybody. Welcome to another daily dose of gaming news and all that good stuff. And as always, I also publish on Rumble, on Patreon, and anything else I usually go about on Twitter X. Um, I did miss Saturday, if not mistaken. But yeah, today is Monday. I will publish another Death Stranding episode. Yeah, I'm having a blast. I don't know what to say more. If you like any kind of Kojima games, I think this again, it's a different take, but there is a lot of weirdness, Kojima weirdness. But I'm enjoying very much this game so far. Other than that, I already have some completed gameplay series here on the main page of the channel. So let's go. Given that it's Monday and it's a slow day, usually we got again. This comes around on the big picture of the situation with the layoffs and Microsoft there, which is one of at least it seems to be one of the biggest culprits or of the layoffs is the fact that I don't know, quadruple down now on Game Pass stuff there. And into that train of thought, Arkane founder Rafael Colantonio on an X basically again, it's the fact that a lot of people are not talking about it, just focus on the layoffs, which again, it is what it is. But the root, one of the root causes of the problems, not only the fact that they, again, the huge amounts of acquisitions being done lately in a couple of years from Xbox, and the fact that they are, again, as I said, quadruple down on the Game Pass model for their, I don't know, what they're trying to do there with Game Pass. Again, he said that his unsustainable model that has been increasingly damaging industry for a decade, subsidized by Microsoft infinite money, on quotes, of course. But at some point, reality has to hit. I don't think Game Pass can coexist with other models. They'll either kill everyone else or give up. And he continues, what might happen once Microsoft has won? The games will start to suck and your sub will go up. Why? Because the current amazing deal you have is subsidized by Microsoft, bleeding money into it with the hope they'll kill the competition. But once they manage to do that, things will get real. Again, this comes by the fact that they are trying to compete, let's say, with the PC and even with PlayStation by bleeding money, because again, the numbers of subscriptions that they have for Game Pass is estimated around 35 million subscriptions, even if they are all like the highest tier. It does not manage to get the revenue or enough revenue for them to subsidize or fund the games that will be coming out throughout the years. There is not enough at this moment revenue from Game Pass to be able to be justified and fund other games. And it's one of the main reasons, at least that's my thought, of why we have having since the big acquisitions, specifically after Activision Blizzard, which is basically around $70 billion. Again, for it to be to reason that by you have to have a strategy that, okay, we have to invest $70 billion and we only going to manage, I don't know, recoup that money in a 5-year period maybe, or 10 period, by making sales and making games and sell those games to recoup that investment. It's the only way you can go about it. It's impossible to in the next quarter to start to get revenue to try and get that money that you spend to enter in that coffers to justify that expense. Again, it's impossible. And they think, again, I don't know who, I think it's a lot of it comes from Microsoft itself, not only from Xbox, but I think a lot of the pressure of continuing with that comes from Microsoft itself. We've been seeing a lot, for example, even from Microsoft company, the 360 pilot stuff there, which is basically a subscription service I know, similar to Google Drive kind of a thing there, where you have all services in one, and you pay a subscription fee to have some cloud storage and access to the Microsoft Excel plus the Copilot features and all that shit. And that mentality, given that can work in an enterprise setting, I don't think it works. Not only in a non-enterprise work frame, but also in gaming itself. Again, the way you consume, one of the reasons is you consume media, for example, like a Netflix, like movies and series. You consume it in a very different way as you consume games. Again, games are more time consuming. Uh, First, even if you have like a small experience, usually hovers around like, I don't know, 5 hours, like a shorter game like I completely forgot the name of the game that I wanted to use. But it can go around like for 5 hours, and then you have some huge games like RPGs and the stuff that you can spend hundreds of hours, if not more. For example, in my case, for example, playing XCOM 2, I have at least on record almost 500 hours. Witcher 3, I know I played around 100 hours or so. I think in Death Stranding, I'm reaching 150 hours, which is a lot for a game. And again, you consume games in a very different way that you consume, for example, any kind of other media. And I think it's one of the reasons they think they can put the same the same games as they are a media, which is a consumable medium, but it's a completely um, different way of consuming something than, for example, like Netflix, in terms of at least the strategy that they have on getting a subscription service to have access to a library of something, of a product, in this case games. It works in a completely different way. For example, like I said, Netflix or HBO Max or whatever the subscription service there are there. Um, Again, it doesn't work. I think the most viable option is something comparable like PlayStation Plus, where they really do have some free games. If you have the PlayStation Plus subscription service, besides giving you supposedly access to online playing online and all that shit, but at least they give you some games from time to time. I think in a monthly basis, but it's like back catalog games, so games that are already out for a while now, and they offer you access to those games. I think you can owe them. Again, I'm not exactly sure how PlayStation Plus works, but at least it gives you access on back catalog games, so there is no basically huge loss or any loss whatsoever in that sense, because again, the games themselves, they don't come out day one on PlayStation Plus, so you have the pressure of having the revenue of the money that you already invested making that game to be made in subscription service. The cycle of the where you can get the most revenue out of a game is already been done. So it's something that can, I don't know, I don't know, maybe give you the first game of a series of an IP, and might incentivize people after playing that game to buy, even if it is on a sale, buying the sequel or something like that from that IP or from the same studio, something on the genre there. Again, I think it serves best in terms of subscription services to work more similar with what PlayStation Plus does, because again, even if you can manage to, let's say, for example, the Call of Duties, the Doom that came out, Dark Ages, all of these new games that can be sold, for example, between $60 to $80, which is something that Xbox is doing, plus Nintendo and all and to a certain extent, I think PlayStation will follow suit. But the fact that you have the pressure of having, I don't know, somebody that is paying for a subscription service, I don't know, $30. I don't know what's the premium service there from Game Pass. They're not going to spend the money on the game, which is basically the double, at least $60. So it is half a sale that you get, if that much. And then between this, again, uh, hypothetically speaking, of course. But then you have to have to make the math of the fact that that subscription service, which is $30, you will not count only for that game that was launched on Game Pass. You have to divide the $30 for everything that it's on the library itself. That's why you need, theoretically, you need for sure more than 35 million subscribers. I think that somebody did kind of a rough math some time ago, and I think I covered an article. If not mistaken, I think like the bare minimum, at least at the price of the subscription that were at the time, the cost of that of Game Pass subscription fees. I think they have to have almost 250 million people subscribe monthly to that service to try and make up for the value that that they did manage to get in that in terms of game libraries that they had at the time was roughly around, you need to have 250 million active subscribers so you can compensate the revenue with the expense of making those games. And again, it's not working. It will not work, even though again, hypothetically speaking, this is a great value consideration for a gamer. You just pay, I don't know, $20 or something like that. You have access to a huge library. A lot of the games that came out on day one there. Even though the lower tiers don't have that day one stuff there, you need to have a premium service tier to have access to that. But even so, supposedly you get a low amount of monthly fees to have access to a huge amount of libraries. And I assume most, if you are a regular player, I don't know, play like a couple of hours per day, it does compensate in terms of the monetary incentive for a person. But again, for that to have in this any kind of subscription service where you have this kind of, you need a huge scale if you're charging this much in terms of the service fees for the to have access to that library of games. Again, it's one thing that again, I don't see enough pressure and enough articles speaking about this. I think people might have I don't know, afraid or not seeing the big picture of the business of Xbox as it is. Again, Xbox Game Pass as a service is a good deal for a person, but for the company, it's not a good deal unless it has, I don't know, hundreds of millions of subscribers paying for that service to try and justify the expense of having everything there on that library. Again, we will continue to, that's why I'm saying we will continue to see a lot of layoffs from Microsoft, in this case, Xbox. Yeah, because even some analysts already reference this. It's basically impossible to maintain this unless you have like a subsidized thing. But again, Microsoft will not give money or bleed money to Xbox to continue in this route. That's why we're seeing a lot of job losses, shutting down studios, canceling projects, and even to a certain extent, having a lot of the projects that were canceled, at least to my knowledge, at least two or three of them, they were in development for almost 10 years, some of them between 7 to 10 years. Again, it's a lot of time to spend on developing. Again, all the costs associated to that just inflates the budget of that project. And I think it's basically one of the reasons, I don't know, if they have like a checklist, again, if the project for how good it can be, if it is in 6 years or 7 years plus in development and it's not achieved certain thresholds, just canceled and close the studio because we cannot continue to bleed money as it is, even though if the game is pretty good, which I think it was the case of ZeniMax Online. I think they had like a multiplayer game that seemingly was pretty good, and even supposedly or reportedly, Phil Spencer did love the game when he played whatever state it was. Again, it comes to a point that even $1 trillion company cannot justify themselves, especially because, again, people tend to forget that corporations have a fiduciary responsibility to take care of investors' money or the shareholders' money. by the end of the quarter. Their main concern is not the consumer. It never is. That's one of the reasons that we have a lot of laws and the such to protect consumers, mainly because of that, because the fiduciary responsibility of the corporation is of the shareholders and the investors there. But yeah, we will continue to see this as long they will keep quadruple down or quintuple down or sextuple down on this Game Pass as it is at this moment, which is like day one AAA games, which cost almost $500 million to make, and they just put it there for only 35 million of people to amortize that that $500 million there, plus all the games that are on the library. Again, it will not work. They cannot. And since it's been almost a decade that Game Pass is been active, they cannot seemingly pass even to 100 million threshold there. And the fact that we're going to see some more layoffs, and by the end of the year, I think they already announced they already in the hardware side of things, Xbox updated some prices on the hardware, and I think we're going to see before the end of the year Game Pass prices to go up, or even they will introduce more tiers where they have the cheapest tier with now ads of while you open the app. We will have starting have advertisement and all that jazz, similar like Netflix. Again, it's not going good as long as they continue to hammer this illusion that Game Pass will save them out of the hole that they are at this moment in time. Then, in other stuff regarding hardware, I think I mentioned this hardware unboxed 9070 5070 Ti update in terms of the performance uplifts of the not only the drivers, fine wine AMD driver stuff there. I think people took a lot of it out of context, even though again I might understand some of the graphics that they put there regarding they focused more on the driver side of things, so old drivers and new drivers. But from the setup of the video, Steve, I think was pretty clear, mentioning that it was review data that they had, and taking in account not only the AMD drivers and also, and I think I mentioned that when I covered this, not only the drivers themselves, AMD and Nvidia, and also I don't know game updates that might eventually come, Windows updates, everything influence in that sense. And basically, similarly, a lot of people were complaining about that they were misleading. I saw this kind of a little bit of Tech Yet City and testing games again, saying that they didn't see any uplifts in terms of performance. But then again, I think it's not. It's not trying to fool anybody, but I think they took up the word of the graph there, which is latest driver and review driver. Again, not hardware unbox. At least Steve, from my understanding, when I watched the video, was pretty clear in the sense that they were taking review data. So it's a set of configurations, not mainly in software, plus that data, and then trying to compare it how everything evolved. Specifically, they were trying to focus a little bit if the drivers themselves did improve the performance in gaming of these GPUs. But also taking in account that when they were doing the test, the Windows system was updated. The games probably were updated in the meantime, and I think they were trying to see in trying to pick a certain specific time when the GPUs came out, and then like a normal user would do, Windows updates, driver updates, and all that jazz, to see how it can compare itself to a current day situation. And I think they again they might have highlighted wrongly, at least that's the perception that I get from some complaints that I saw on Twitter, regarding the highlighting too much, let's say, the driver performance there. But yeah, if you see this video, I think they changed the thumbnail, if not mistaken, to try and be more correct, or try to emphasize that it's not just the drivers themselves, it's the overall, let's say, if you have your system and you bought the GPU, the situation at that point in time is going to be different from today's, mainly because of software, from drivers, Windows updates, and all that jazz, and even games updates. Again, it's one of those things. I think it was pretty clear on the beginning of the video. When I watched the video in terms of comparisons between the performance, I took that in account. That was review data comparatively with the day that he did that a new benchmarking there. And continue with benchmarking. Unboxed just launched today, I think, the RTX 5050 review. It's been a while since supposedly this GPU was launched. But yeah, basically, it's a shit show of a GPU, but I do recommend giving a watch so you can have an idea in terms, at least from his perspective, to see what the best alternatives are at kind of the low end of the spectrum. Again, I think the 9060 XT 16 gigabytes seems to be the best value at this moment in time, taking into account current data, especially in terms of pricing. At least it seems to me that's the on the lower end of scale, or you just go secondhand market and try to get something that it's more in line with the budget that you have. But yeah, I really do recommend a watch, because again, I think you have always get some good information from them. But yeah, in terms of news, this is what I got here. There is something with Stop Killing Games. I want to see if I can catch an article that gives a good, thorough explanation. I think it hopefully it will get through, and we're already seeing some news specifically from the gaming industry that they, of course, they will not like something like that. They just try to deviate from the conversation. But yeah, I will try to see if I can catch some of those quotes to try and cover better throughout this week. But yeah, I'm going to wrap up with some gaming deals. We still have until the 10th, the summer sale. I'm just trying to focus a little bit on big games, kind of a triple A kind of a thing there, that seem to be good for you to buy if you want to try one of those. One of these is Atomic Heart, 70% off in all editions. We got Baldur's Gate 3, 20% off. Again, Game of the Year 2023. We got Left Me Wukong, again, 20% off. Again, seems an excellent game. We got Cyberpunk 2077. I think the way to go is Ultimate Edition with the Phantom Liberty expansion, and supposedly we'll have in the near future the version, the updated version 2.3. Again, it seems that they delayed that for the time being. We got also Days Gone. Seems a pretty good game. It seems very not underwhelming. Sorry. It seems that it didn't get the attention that it should have at the time that it came. Seems pretty good. And the PC port seems to be awesome, and it's 50% off. Then you got Devil May Cry 5. Again, if you like Devil May Cry games, I think this is the best or the better ones from the franchise, and it's 75% off in the deluxe version. We got also Ghostwire Tokyo. Seems to be a very underrated game also. Very positive feedback from everybody, and it's 75% off. We got August Legacy, 75% off also, plus the digital deluxe is also at a lower price. We got Liza P. Again, the way to go seems to be Overture Bundle. The DLC seems pretty excellent. And again, 33% off with the DLC. Then we got Prey, a very underrated game again. Kind of the immersive sim kind of a thing there. I really did enjoy this game. I did a gaming series on it. You can check out I think the first couple episodes to have a good idea what this game is about. And at the time, again, I did manage to claim it for free from Epic Game Store, but I do recommend at least the base game. There is I think the Moon Crash DLC, which is kind of a roguelike kind of element there, which also seems to be good. But yeah, it's from Arkane Studios that already been shut down. Then you got also Red Dead Redemption 2, 75% on the base and 80% on the Ultimate Edition. Again, one of the better Rockstar games. We got Silent Hill 2 Remake, 40% off again, and the Digital Deluxe also in that way. And then lastly, we got The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Again, one of my favorite games that I played. Uh, I did, I think, I bought it from GOG at the time. I don't know why that I bought it on GOG instead of the Steam, but I know I have. I think it was a trilogy bundled at the time when I bought because I bought the free games there. Uh, might have been something in those lines. I must have bought the trilogy there on the special deal for sure. But yeah, the way to go is complete edition, 80% off at this moment. The first playthrough I do recommend vanilla style, maybe with some graphic improvements in terms of modding, and then the other runs I do advise some tweaking with some mods in terms of gameplay and all that jazz to have a different experience. But yeah, I really do like this game pretty much. But yeah, I'm going to wrap up here with the plug my Patreon as usual for extra support. The extra support is more in line for me to try and get the best storage solution so I can have backups. So backups of the stuff that I do for my clients, and of course some extra space for the videos that I do for the channel. And with all that said, I hope you have a wonderful day. I will see you in the next one. So until then, Kunami Master out.